You like that? 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 You like that?
What's going on? It's Coach Williams, and I'm back for another breakdown. So today we are going to talk Joey Porter Jr., son of a former NFL player for the Steelers, one of the top cornerback prospects in this draft, another 6'2", 200-pound long corner. But this guy is a little bit more of a physical brand of football player than Christian Gonzalez, who we just profiled, and not necessarily the same twitchy athlete. But we'll go into it and we'll break him down and see what we're getting here, okay? So let's just jump right into this thing. So we got him here at the top of the screen, okay? And so, like I said, not as twitchy of an athlete. If you look at all the things online or whatever talking about him, they say, he doesn't have great hip fluidity and things like that. But I do think that he has enough hip fluidity to be successful in the NFL, because he's not the type of guy that you're going to put on like, Jalen Waddle or, Tyreek Hill or something like that. He's the type of guy that you're going to put on the T. Higginses of the world. And I think that he's a good press man corner, but there are going to be some situations where he's going to be in zone and he's going to have a little bit more hip fluidity. And I think he can do it. And this play illustrates it pretty well. So what they're running right here is an inverted cover 2 to the bottom of the screen, okay? So what we're getting here is this safety would normally be the half-field safety, but he's going to drop down into the hole and be the hole match player like a linebacker. I'm going to have normal cover 2 assignments over here, and then we're going to have Joey Porter Jr. He's going to push to the deep half of the field. So he's going to become the new safety, and then this linebacker is going to push into the flat and replace the corner, okay? So the reason why I show you this one is he's playing this half-field zone technique, and he's getting climbed on by one of the best wide receivers in all of college football, Marvin Harrison Jr., and he has the hip fluidity to be able to turn. Now, this doesn't look like, Christian Gonzalez, right? It's not lightning quick and smooth, but it's good enough for him to stay on top. And Harrison's going to run this post route, and he has the ability to speed turn and stay on top of it in a dominant position, in phase on top of the receiver. That's a really good job. Let's just play it one time through so you can see it. It's a great job of staying on the route and staying sticky to it. And so on this play here, we got him up at the top of the screen, and he's in press coverage. Now, I remember being on TikTok, okay, and some TikTok clown coming to me and being like, hands up press technique is some old thing from the 80s or the 90s or 70s or something like that, because I was talking about how I'd like to see more players use it. And I profiled a bunch of guys in the NFL. And this guy's like, oh, that's old stuff, like blah, blah, blah. He made a whole series of videos trying to say, I don't know what I'm talking about. If you watch the film, there are tons of guys that still use this technique. It's really effective. And one of the best corners in this draft is using hands-up press technique on a consistent basis. So we can see here he's got his hands up, and he does a good job of not putting his hands at 90 degrees, right? So when you use this hands-up press technique, you want to make sure that you got a little bit of an angle here, maybe a 45-degree angle here, because if you have your hands too far down, it's going to be easier for the receiver to slap your hands away. You want to put them nice and tight to your body so that if the receiver tries to slap your hands away, he's going to be off balance if he misses, right? So you want to keep your hands nice and tight. He does a good job of that. And so one issue that I do have with this, and it's going to come up a lot in this video, is he does do some of these false steps, right? So we want to stay nice and square, right? We want to fight across without opening our hips too early. And he has a tendency to false step sometimes. But he's such a good physical player. He stays on top of the route, right? He gets back into position, and it ends up being an incomplete pass. Now, you could say that there was, a little bit of a grab there, and we'll see it from the tight angle here, but I don't believe that they threw the flag on this play. It looks like there's a flag, but when I went back and looked at the box score, this was not, I don't think this was scored as a penalty. But he's a very physical player, and we're going to get more into this as the video goes on. So you can see here, he gets into the body of the receiver and gets in phase, and it ends up being an incomplete pass. So here, again, hands up press technique, right? Another false step, right? So he gives you these false steps, right? We got to clean this up, got to be better, more technically sound here. But he does do a good job of using the hands. The hand usage, I love it, man. He's very dominant with those hands, does a good job of locking receivers out and then finishing reps on top, just like we talked about with Christian Gonzalez. Finishing reps on top, chest to chest, dominant in-phase position, okay? So this play here, this is a run play, and so we always talk about corners in the run game, okay? So there's going to be a few clips on here. So he's up here at the top of the screen. He reads run, and he does a good job of getting in there, right? So he essentially becomes a linebacker since this is a closed formation, 3-by-1 nub tight end. He essentially becomes a linebacker and gets into the run fit here. I'd like him to come downhill a little bit earlier, but he's the last line of defense, gets in there, and makes a tackle. So we're going to see it from the tight angle here. And there's one critique that I have, and we'll see this a few times in this video. I don't like the way that he stops his feet here. I want him to run his feet on contact and stay up, right? You don't want to dive like this and end up on the ground because NFL running backs, they're pretty big physical dudes. You're not going to bring a lot of NFL running backs down tackling like that, right? We got to stay on our feet, we got to run our feet, and we got to drive the ball carrier back. We don't want him gaining extra yards. All right, here we go. Again, hands up press. This is a good job here of not false stepping, right? So he fights across, gets hands on. But he does stumble a little bit here, right? So he's a little off balance here, right? Stumbles a little bit, but does a good job of recovering and getting back onto the receiver's hip, right? Part of that is because, the ball went to somebody else. But he did show some recovery speed here, especially after he stumbles a couple times, to be able to stay with the receiver, okay? So, more run game stuff, okay? So, this is one issue that I have with his game. Remember when we were watching Christian Gonzalez and he did a good job of stringing the run out, right? Making it indecisive for the blocker. Well, he does this a lot. He tries to blow up run plays. And one of the problems with doing that is it makes you end up behind the play, okay? So if somebody else does make the play here, that's fine. But if this tackle gets broken and you're behind the play, you've eliminated yourself from the play. Now, I'm not in their film room. I don't know exactly how they're coaching them to do it, right? They might be telling them to box this thing, right, instead of stringing it out and making it spill and stuff. But the problem is you don't want to get upfield like this, right? You don't want to get upfield and end up behind the play. That's never a position you want to be in, all right? So we can see, right? He runs himself out of the screen, runs himself out of the play, right? Get hands on, right? Get your hands into him, and then set a hard edge. You either got to hunker down here, right? You either got to hunker down here, or if you're going to do that, you got to get in there and make the play. So now we got him at the top of the screen. Again, this one is not a very good rep here, okay? So, again, we get the false step. So he false steps. Now he's on his heels, right? We never want to play on our heels in press coverage, right? False step on his heels, and then this is something that's going to come up later. Little too grabby for my liking, right? Little too grabby at the top of the route, right? Can't grab like this, especially after you've recovered and you've gotten yourself into position. Can't tug on the jersey like this. Very lucky that a flag was not thrown, but he does a good job of recovering and getting in there and breaking this pass up, right? He breaks the pass up. So I remember when I was covering my first draft on YouTube and on TikTok, and I was talking about J.C. Horn. A lot of people, their knock on J.C. Horn was he's not going to be able to play in the NFL because he's going to commit too many penalties. He's grabby, blah, blah, blah. And 9 times out of 10, when people go online or make that a part of their evaluation, it's like, one, he doesn't grab that much. It's not egregious and it doesn't happen all the time. And two, he's going to go to the NFL. He's going to get taught. He's going to work with NFL coaches. He's going to improve his game. This is one of the few exceptions. I do think that he is too grabby. It happens on a very consistent basis. And it's not like it's just like little grabs at the top of the route every once in a while. It's like on a consistent basis, he's grabbing people, and he's grabbing people when he doesn't have to. And it's egregious. I'm surprised that he isn't penalized as much. In the NFL, he's going to be penalized a lot if he plays this way. So he's going to need a coach to really work on this with him. All right, do what the Patriots do and put some paddles on his hands. So watch this play right here. Got the stack alignment. He's in perfect position to cover this receiver. The ball's not going here either, right? Quarterback's throwing the ball this way, and he's hugging the receiver. Very lucky that he did not get called for a penalty here. This is not good. Not good technique. There's no need to do this, and this happens a few times a game, and it's just too consistent. He needs to stop with the holding and the grabbing. He's going to get called for PI and holding a lot in the NFL if he continues that. So we got him down here at the bottom of the screen. And I show you this one because I just love this. And this plays like this make you just like fall in love with a player like this, right? So especially as like a DB guy, okay? So we got cover 2 here, right? I think there's a blown coverage. Somebody should be in the middle of the field, and there's no one there. But with him, he's the flat player. He's getting his reroute. And he has no other threats in his zone, so he decides to be super physical with the best receiver in the country, and he chucks him out of bounds at the end of the play, right? So chucks him out of bounds, ensures that he will not be able to touch the ball on this play. I love that, and that's competitive. He's a competitor. He's not going out there and doing that against, some scrub receiver or whatever. You might see somebody trying to pick on someone. Like, nah, that's the best receiver in the country, and he's being physical with that guy. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So now his aggressiveness is going to pay off for him here, okay? So this is just a little quick bubble screen, and he splits the blockers, gets in here, and blows the play up, right? If you're going to attack it that way, you got to be the guy that makes the play, right? And so, again, I'm not in the film room. I'm not in the meeting room. I don't know how they coach him to do it, but if he's going to play this way, this is how it's got to be, right? You got to get hands on the ball carrier if you're going to get downhill like that. Okay. So I got the clock up here because I want to talk about this play and I want to talk about the situation here, okay? 8 minutes, 34 seconds left, all right? Ball is on the 31-yard line. His team is down 2 points. It's 21-23 in the fourth quarter. It's 2nd and 4. This is a big play in the game. And so there's no schematics here. We're just talking about situation. So he's in coverage here on Marvin Harrison Jr. And he sees the ball completed. The first guy here misses the tackle, okay? This is a gotta-have-it play. Gotta make this tackle here. Because if they score here, you are in a world of hurt. You're down 2 possessions with 8 minutes left in the game. And he dives at the feet of the ball carrier, and it ends up being a touchdown, right? So 3 missed tackles here. He's the second guy in. The guy's been slowed up. His momentum is slowed down. You got to come to balance and lay the wood on this dude and make sure he gets on the ground. So, I do this stuff. I watch the film of these players or whatever. I'm not here to fanboy anybody. I love Porter as a player, but I'm not here to fanboy anybody, okay? That's a gotta-have-it play, and if I'm a GM, I'm watching his film, watching his tape, that's one that I've got to file away when I'm thinking about who I want to pick, all the other players that are in this draft. He's on the board or whatever. Where am I placing him? Like, these are big gotta-have-it moments, and you got to make that play, man. You got to make that play. Like, technique be damned, all the other stuff be damned. You got to get the guy on the ground. And he missed the tackle, especially a physical dude like him. Got to be locked in that moment, and you've got to be the guy that saves the team. So, obviously, this was a poor effort by the entire defense, but like, if you're going to be a transcendent, first-round pick player, I need you to come to balance here and get this guy on the ground. All right, so we got him at the top of the screen here. Again, more press reps. Right, I like this, and this one I really, really like this press rep here. Even though, again, with the false steps, right, I like that he gets his hands here, right, good hand usage, trying to jam him and arm bar him to the sideline. But Marvin Harrison Jr. has a perfectly timed swipe, but it doesn't matter, and he ends up dominant in phase, chest to chest, in phase position on the receiver. And the reason why I show you this one, it shows you that he's got great balance because the timing of this swipe is perfect, but it doesn't impact his speed, doesn't impact his momentum, allows him to still stay on top of the receiver and get chest to chest with him. And so again, we'll see it again this time, right? No false steps here. I don't like that he opens the gate a little bit too early for my liking, but again, Marvin Harrison Jr., perfectly timed swipe, doesn't matter. He stays dominant in phase on the receiver. Balance, 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 balance. We talked about this a lot on this channel. That is an important DB trait. So that's it for this video. I like Joey Porter Jr. I think that he's going to be a good player in the NFL. I absolutely think he's a first-round pick. I think he's one of the best corners in this draft. But there are some holes in his game, and if you want him to be, Jalen Ramsey or Stephon Gilmore in his prime or Dion or Revis or somebody like that, I don't think he's that style of player. I think he needs to play a very specific position. I think that he'll be really good against the bigger, more physical receivers in the league. I think some of the guys that are not, insanely twitchy, he'll be fine. He can cover those guys. He's got good instincts in zone coverage as well, right? So press man corner, but he can play zone. He's a lot more effective in zone than some of the other corners from last year, I would say, like, Kyer Elam. He was purely a press man corner. I think Porter can play in multiple schemes, but if you're going to ask him week in and week out to follow the best receiver regardless of that receiver's skill set, I don't think he's going to thrive in that kind of a role. But I do think that he's got Pro Bowl caliber talent. So I'm excited to see where he goes. I'm excited to break him down again in a future video, and I want you to come back for more breakdowns. So it is what it is, and we'll keep this thing going. You know what it is. It's Coach Williams, Ball Hawks. We fly. I'm out. Peace.